Good evening. We're going to open the meeting of the City of Walker Planning Commission for March 4. We're going to be looking now at the reviewing the meeting minutes from February 18 or in our packets. If there's any questions, comments, or a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Elena, supported by Joe to approve the minutes for February 18 as submitted. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. This is an opportunity at this point for general public comment. We do have a public hearing on the agenda, and there'll be a separate time set aside for taking comments on that. But if you've got it, want to step forward, give us your name and address, and share with us any concerns or questions that you may have. No takers? We'll move into the agenda item, public hearing of case number 26-005, and we'll have Paula Preby, the planning director, introduce the project.
I know, I had to do mine like 3 times.
I'll sit over on this side. Okay, so just to orient us first to where we're talking about, so we are in the industrial part on the north side of Walker here in the Walker View PUD. And in my report, shows the site is zoned IPUD, but in the overall Walker View PUD, the site is C9. It was originally zoned commercial, and back in 2022, the site was rezoned from CPUD to IPUD. So the industrial plan that we're reviewing tonight is in line with the zoning of the property. And the master plan has it designated as enterprise, which roughly aligns with our industrial zone districts. I've also got some imagery here from Google Earth. You can see the site, and then I did go take some photos, but given the time of year, the street view pictures on Google gave a better view of what the site looks like than the photos that I snapped. So I'm going to pull this site plan up here. The applicant is Honeycrisp Ventures. The project is for a new 90,000 square foot industrial building, along with truck docks, parking, landscaping, utilities, various other site improvements. You can see here, there are several access points to the site. The primary access point here aligns with Shippers Drive on the north side of Northridge Drive. Then there's 2 other access points, another directly to Northridge, and then one here on the west side that connects to the shared access point that's on the hotel property. And there are a number of easements on the property. I'm getting ahead of myself real quick. So the applicant met with the staff site plan review committee in mid-February, was provided feedback. Based on my review of the plans from tonight, these are the resubmitted plans. The plan set meets the zoning ordinance regulations for use, setbacks, conformity with the approved PASP after it was rezoned, parking, loading, landscaping and lighting, as well as other site-specific details. So I just have a few things to talk about with the board. One is easements. The applicant, thank you so much, put together this easement map for us to demonstrate. The site is heavily encumbered with many various easements. There are these overhead lines that cross the site, taking up a significant portion, which heavily limit what can be done in that part of the property. There's also some shared access easements, and then utility easements, particularly on the right along the road, and then on the south side of the property to the regional detention that is being reconfigured as part of the Falk project on that adjacent property. It might be familiar to the board. And with those overhead lines, there's not much you can do under those with the height restrictions, and so you see parking and trailer parking in what we would normally consider the front yard of the property. That's not something we would normally encourage, but given all of these various easements, I view this as a unique case and a creative use of that restricted space. So within the flexibility provided with the PUD I think this is perfectly acceptable from a zoning perspective. The applicant also provided me with a letter from ITC that signs off on the use of the parking and the landscaping that is taking place under their overhead lines. So they've been in touch with them and they have approval for the uses that take place under those lines. That was something that staff was concerned about, and so I'm very appreciative of being sent this to confirm that all of those uses are acceptable. The other note I have for you is regarding the landscape plan. You didn't see it before, so my note doesn't make a ton of sense, but the landscaping is primarily along the road. There's also a bunch of shrubs that will be in front of that trailer parking that's in that front yard that I was just talking about, and then some trees set back a little bit in the parking area closer to the building. And because of those overhead lines, no trees are permitted in the overhead line easement, and so those all had to be moved out of that space. So it's a little bit, might feel a little lopsided, but again, we're working with the constraints on the site. All of the required number of trees and shrubs from our landscaping ordinance are provided on the property. That's really all that I have for the board. I'm happy to show the site again, but I don't have any concerns, and I don't have any zoning or planning conditions to recommend for the board.
Thank you, Paula. Commissioners, any questions for Paula? Okay, we'll turn it over then to City Engineer Scott Connors.
Mine are very brief. We do request that a 10-foot turnout be placed at the southern part of that parking lot where Paula's moving the cursor right now. You know, sometimes we kind of look the other way if it's 5 feet, but in this case, it's a really long, kind of a dead end. So if you go down there looking for a parking spot and there is no parking spot, you know, it's kind of especially important to have a little bit of extra space there at the end. But ideally, that's for people in the last parking spot to back out safely. But we don't want to see people that are trying to back out that whole way. Pretty standard stuff there. And then the other comment was basically just to point out that, you know, if you're doing your homework, you're probably looking at this saying, you know, why don't we have access all the way around the building? And that came up at site plan review. And the fire department felt really comfortable with the access that's off the south side to the south of this building. And they didn't feel like it was necessary to have like another lane immediately adjacent to that when, in the case of an emergency, they're just going to use that and take care of it. And then on the east side of the building, we talked a little bit about that as well. There were some very steep slopes, and I think we were a little concerned about a fire truck or an emergency vehicle going down there and feeling like they're in a channel, they're trapped. And I think the way that they work this out, they've got coverage of all four corners, and they've taken care of the fire protection locations and things like that. So they're comfortable. So just wanted to let your mind at ease with that.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Commissioners, any questions, comments?
Regarding the turnout, good. Regarding the turnout, and I drove up there yesterday, the circle from the street there, Walker View, there's no chance of connecting that to this property, is it?
There's always a chance. You know, it's always possible, and that might even, you know, make some sense. But if you look at the end of that cul-de-sac, 3 driveways off of a cul-de-sac on the end, it gets pretty tight with visibility, snow storage, you know, all the kinds of things that you'd think of there. It might make more sense if they could work with the, what we call it Dreamscapes. I'm not sure what the official name is for the medical building there to the south, but if they were to work on a connection to the parking lot there, you know, that might make a lot of sense and be a little bit safer. But then there's other things to think about there, like are people going to take the shortcut and go right up the cul-de-sac if they work there? There are some benefits, there's some pros and cons. So maybe it's a good question to ask the development team. They've got quite a healthy team out here. I'm sure they're looking to make some money with answering some questions.
Thank you, Scott. All right.
At this point, have an opportunity for the applicant to come forward, provide their introduction and introductory comments, and take it away.
Sure. Good evening, Justin Longstreth with Moore and Brugink, civil engineer that's representing the applicant. There are representatives here from Honeycrisp if there are questions that I can't answer, but I think keep my comments fairly brief. It's a straightforward plan, 90,000 square foot light industrial multi-tenant building. I was real close to having a clean review from the city engineer, one item short. I'm real bummed about that, but to get to the commissioner's comment about access off of that cul-de-sac, one of the things that would make that challenging is just the grades. When you look at the grade of the existing cul-de-sac versus where that parking lot is, I think there's something like 10 feet of vertical change there. So whether it's off the end of the cul-de-sac or Dream Stages parking lot, it would just be very challenging based on the grading constraints to make that connection, which is why it wasn't made. Happy to answer any questions, but again, we feel this is a pretty straightforward plan, but would welcome any questions that you might have.
Do you have any concerns with making that wider down there?
No, not at all.
Okay. I'm good with it then.
What are you gonna do in this building?
Unknown at this time. Whatever the use is would fit kind of within that light industrial assembly type use, I would say, but there are no tenants that have been signed at this point, so to be determined.
The word Honeycrisp, that sort of makes me think of apples. Is that true or not, or what?
I'll let this guy answer if he wants to. I think it's an homage to the family business. So. Yeah, sure.
Hi, I'm Ben Seatsma, owner of Honeycrisp Ventures. So my dad was third generation apple farmer, and I knew I didn't want to get into that business. So I looked at him and said, "Sorry, Dad, I'm gonna name my real estate company Honeycrisp Ventures," and that's about as close as we're gonna get to the farming. But yeah, it's in the blood, so appreciate that. But on a little more serious note, really looking forward to this project. We've had just a lot of fun over the years, mostly fun with Scott, over the years with our projects in the city of Walker. You guys have been great to work with, and so we're looking forward to another one. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, this has been noticed as a public hearing.
Motion to open for public comment?
Okay, motion by Mark, supported by
Support.
Elena to open the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Any public comment? We've got a couple of people in the back. Any question about this? Okay.
Motion to
Alright.
close?
Okay, motion by Mark,
Support.
supported by Elena to close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I appreciated getting the letter from ITC, because having that storage in the front, that kind of, when they have their restrictions on no tall trees there, then that really comes into play. And since it is a PUD, as you pointed out in your report, it makes it feasible to at least consider that. Otherwise, Pat, any comments?
Where it goes. There's no tenant yet, there's nobody looking at it specifically. At some point in time when there is, will this have to come back before the city for signage and those kind of issues?
Yes. Signage will need to meet with the strictures of the sign code, and that can be approved through a standard zoning sign permit, unlike as part of the FASP, which we often see because they don't have a tenant yet.
Okay,
But that won't need to come back to this board as long as the tenant is a user that is allowed in that light industrial district. They can move forward with a business license.
okay, thank you. The only other concern when I was looking at this, and the landscaping diagram, to the immediate east of the building, it looks like there's quite a grade there. I don't know, maybe 12, 14 feet. in a short distance, is that gonna be just covered with grasses, something that's mowable?
I'll jump in. That's exactly the word we use. It's got to be mowable, and so for us, mowable is a 1-on-3 slope. And I think when they came in originally trying to get the fire access around the building, that steepened that up quite a bit to like 1-on-2. And so usually we get past the 1-on-3 and we say, you're kind of getting into a different threshold here. Now you need ground cover or no mow grass, something that you don't have to get a mower on, so there's no danger in that. So yes.
Thanks.
Mark, any comments?
Seems like
Use of a challenging space, I'm good. I think I actually quite like the way in the parking lot layout. So it's not just all one big parking lot, but, still working within their constraints.
Elena? Tom? Joe? I've had my comments addressed.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Maybe I'll use Mark's. I'll make a motion for case number 26005 for 2210 Northridge Drive South, or Northwest for FASP review. Based on the application material provided, I make a motion to approve the final area site plan for a new 90,000 square foot industrial building and associated site improvement at 2210 Northridge Avenue, Northridge Drive Northwest, subject to the following conditions and based on the findings of facts below. Conditions of the final area site plan review approval: 1, it can the south end of the west side of the building parking lot. 2, the applicant shall provide 2 sets of sealed civil engineering plans incorporating the recommended conditions to the community development department prior to the issuance of the building permits. Findings of facts per section 11.02.g.5. The PUD as described by the final area site plan received on 2/18/2026 does continue to meet the standards contained in the preliminary area site plan requirements, section 11.02.c.7 of the zoning ordinance. The final area site plan is in substantial compliance with the previously approved preliminary area site plan consisting of maps and accompanying written material. The PUD does comply with the uses permitted in the IPUD districts and the uses approved within the related PSAP.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion by Elena, supported by Pat, to approve the request as noted in the motion. Any questions? We'll call the question. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
I'm stuck.
Just this week?
Okay, Paula?
Yeah, with just the one case today, and that went pretty quick. I've just got one piece of housekeeping for the board, and that is that our next meeting is on March 18. This will be a little bit different. It is going to be a joint working meeting with the City Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals is being invited to attend as well. It's an informational meeting regarding a potential large new residential planned unit development off Richmond Street. So there will be a presentation from the developer and then some discussion and feedback on how if the project moves forward, how it will move forward, and any concerns that the board might have. So I highly encourage you to attend, and it will be it's a very large project that we'll be discussing. And I hope I can I don't have the materials yet, but I hope to send them out before the meeting.
Okay.
Anywhere on the scale of like Vista 45 or anything that large?
Well, this one is residential only, but it will be very large.
Much bigger in area.
In residential units, it's a mix of single family and some like duplexes and condominium units, but it will be very large, more on the scale of like a Waterford or an English Hills, like that size of a project. Multi-phase residential development.
Very good.
I like that.
You, a lot of activity going up on the Lewis farm and also west of Myers. That's just preparation and stuff, they're putting in the water mains. And what is going on there?
Yeah, so they've gotten their, well, the first step I would say is to go through and get their utility plans approved and all that. Once they get that done, they generally get their soil erosion permits, and that's when they can actually go out and start working. So that's what's happening now is more like grading, not so much putting pipes in the ground, but it's the prep work. It's, we've got too much soil over here and not enough over here, so they're just doing a lot of earth balancing as they get started, and that's true for both of them.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion by Pat,
Second?
supported by Mark to close the meeting. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.